second week and the first day of the second week of the IEEE Summer School Computational Intelligence and Games here at Thompson Rivers University. So we have some interesting topics on for today. I'm going to be talking about camouflage generation later in the day, but before that
We have Patricia Pizer talking about social systems. I've got one right here.
oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay, good. I was
No,
making
I
sure.
mic myself up. I'm fancy like that. Yes. So
Okay, so we're
let's.
going to be talking about social systems inside of games.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And so Patricia, the big thing I think I saw on her CV in terms of the games was this whole lot of like board games on her
I
CV
know it's a
too.
lot of stuff sort of working with like Disney and like
Yeah,
different sort of correspondence with different companies as like an external
right. So it's kind of
contractor.
almost like, an overview of the whole thing. So we'll get to see some of the mechanics that we can see inside of social systems inside of games today.
Yeah. So there it is. There's the one there. So social systems aspects, stuff like that. Then camouflage generation. And just before that, before lunch, we're going to quickly do another roundtable here on game tools. So different tools and softwares that people have pulled in that have they find useful.
Sounds
Roundtables
good.
again, very, very loose,
Yeah.
very discussion focused. So if everyone wants to move up to the front, if you want to share any of your favorite tools, that would be helpful. To start though, I'm just gonna switch this over to the Camera plus Share one here. And I'm gonna show you guys a couple of the ones that I like. Am I in frame here? Yeah, I'm tiny in the right.
Yeah. And I'm going to be the audience walk around.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
That's perfect. Let's try that a little bit more. Sounds good. Uh, yeah, I think that angle's a little less silly. All right, so let's start from the top here. So weekend, we are all doing, a bunch of us at least, we're doing a pixel art game, right? So we were talking about sort of in Godot as well, which is kind of relevant. So I just want to show you guys a few kind of interesting things. Obviously, we talked about how you can go to itch.io and get assets and stuff that way. Um, First, tools work. There are actual extensions as well here. So if you look here, Veto2 is literally what we use for PNG Tuber and stuff like that. So there's a ton of stuff that way. I would say a big tool that I always recommend is Sprite. It's probably my favorite pixel art software. I've tried using a bunch of stuff on my tablet and it's all bad. I wish it was just Sprite. um, so there's PNG Tuber Plus, another good VTuber talking software. Bunch of cool stuff in here. Um, One thing I wanted to show you here, we kind of went over it the other day, but Mixamo exists. I like it. It's pretty solid. The worst part about Mixamo is that it's made by Adobe, and they're the devils. So they keep spiking up their prices on students, and it's awful. So Mixamo is really cool if you're planning on getting into any sort of 3D games, because then you don't need to have a full separate skill set of computer animator for 3D. Pixar's I find is a lot easier to start getting animating with than 3D animation because it is a nightmare to model, rig, and then animate. So this is really convenient because what'll happen is you can take any model you have, right? So if I went to say the Cinti store, right? This is gonna be too much steps, but I'm not gonna do it. But you could download an asset from here and you can upload it into here using this upload character option. So you can literally drag and drop I think it's the FBX file, which is just the 3D model, into here. And what they'll do is they will take your model and they will rig it for you and they will animate it for you. So let's see, is there a history? Ah, boo, there's not. Here, let me show you here something. So if I log into my itch account, I don't know if it's going to let me. It might be weird. Okay, perfect. So if I go to my project here, Dungeoneer, I'll show you this after because it's going to take a little while to download because it's not small. Okay. Basically, though, I'll show you sort of what you can get out of it very quickly, very briefly. But yeah, they have a ton of selections of animations. It's completely searchable. This is kind of the default for humans, and it's completely free, which is shocking to me because most things aren't. They do have some characters here if you wanted to like play around with just a generic one, right? So you can click the mutant, for example, and you can go to the animation section now that the mutant's loaded, and we can do a walk, right? There you go. Look at the little dainty walk on the mutant. Yeah, yeah.
Sassy monster.
Yeah. You got places to go, people. Let's go. So one thing that you most of the time I recommend you do is click the in place button. And essentially what that's doing is it's stopping it from having uh, X and Y movement in the animation itself. Because a lot of the times you want to code that in your game. You don't really want your animation controlling your movement. So in place is really good. A couple things to note here is you can also mirror it, so it just sort of like switches sides. Not super important most of the time. You can extend the length of the thing. So each cycle is a little longer there. You see it a little slower. And based on the model, right? Because you can upload your model to test these animations. See how his arms are sort of clipping there a little bit? Let's do this. There you go. Now his arms are off to the side more. It's a bit bigger, even with the little sassy walk. Here, let's go back to this one. Let's make that wide arm space wider. There you go. Look at that. That's just living his best
Ready
life.
for the runway with this one, guy.
And then we made his stride even longer, so he's taking bigger steps there. You could also make it smaller. So you can have some fun with it. And then overdrive is like the speed. So there you go. You get a little waddle. Perfect animation. I know exactly what I would use it for. Um, but yeah, basically this is a great way. So say if you ever get into using Unity or any sort of 3D game engine, this is a perfect way to just like quickly iterate
Oh,
through.
you can make a moonwalk, walking backwards.
Yeah, yeah. Here, let's dodge roll. Dodge. Keep my phone here in case I get another call. Oh, shit. Let's go. Okay, so strafing, that's silly. Let's go. I want to dodge roll. Okay, that's kind of cool though. That's fire.
Ooh.
Yeah, so this is the one we used for our game, just because it's convenient.
Basically, it's the Dark Souls character now.
Yeah, in our little Pixar game, we even have a dodge roll too. But obviously, like the thing about 3D models is every frame of your pixel has to be hand animated. Whereas for a 3D model, it'll interpolate the positioning between things too, right? Because each bone has its own placement and it'll move the bone from one to one naturally, right?
I
So if
I
you
think
are getting into 3D animation, this is the way to
his
go.
his arms kind of clipping through the
Oh,
ground
here.
there, though.
That's worse. Okay, let's try this one. Yeah. There you go. It's kind of hidden under his body. You wouldn't
Yeah,
see
that's a
it.
bit better.
Yeah, so this is a great way. I think my game downloaded here, so let's open that up just so I can show you after. As you can see, I'm really good about naming my packages. To go with that, though, I wanted to show you another thing that's kind of cool. So we talked about it. I think I pointed it out earlier. So during a different roundtable, but anything world, this is the same thing as Mixamo. It's paid, but one thing that's cool about it is there are tons of different models, right? So there's the animate anything section here. And basically what they've got is they've got tons of different body types. Let's see, can I log in? Did I make an account? I made an account. Look at that. How convenient. Okay, sure. I'll just click this so you go away. So they give you 20 credits monthly. Then you can buy more. I don't care about any of that. Let's view and visit animate anything here. View model library. Okay, a little faster. All right, while that loads, why don't I finish showing you off what I was trying to show you? So this is the project we made for PCG. Uh, and essentially all of the 3D animations are done using Mixamo. So WASD moves, right? Is it tab targeting? Yeah, it's tab targeting. Right? So death animations, that's all Mixamo for. Actually, no, I think death animations is physics body. So what I did for that one is it's not even animation. Basically, you've got a collection of orbs to show off where each limb is, and it uses like ragdoll physics. But it tends to fall the same way. So there's not enough impact on the hit, or the hit is not like registering the velocity in that moment. But that's okay. Bye bye. Yeah, we got death pits in our game. Yeah, like I said, so the running animation's there. There's the dodge roll, right? So same one that we just looked at. Jump, dodge roll. And all the enemies have the same sort of code as well. So like everything in this game that we did is all based off of. that. And this is made using PCGs, so we built this using like that's the Cinti modular enemy kit. So each enemy is using a seed is completely randomly generated. Uh, I'm also using the Unity. What do they call it? There's the Unity nav mesh, the nav mesh and the nav mesh agent. Um, yeah. Either way, you get the gist. Whee! But yeah. So anything world is the same idea. So you can just sort of like pick a creature, right? And I believe what they've done is they've flagged it as like an animal type, right? So in theory, you can see how they did it that way. So you upload a model, it auto rigs it to the model, and it animates it. So can I click on any of this? Show. I don't want to upload a model. I just want to see. Yeah, I don't want to. Oh, you know what? That's an interesting one. So one of the things that's kind of annoying are bugs. Ah, boo. Okay, they won't let me do it because you have to do steel models. You have to pay. Either way, you get the gist. Uh, Viewwood models? Yeah, in theory. You could do the same with Mixamo though. If it's humanoid, Mixamo works fine. Um, what else is useful here? Adobe Color is a great way to do like color palettes. Gives you the hex codes and stuff. So if you wanted to do like Vaporwave, everyone's favorite game colors, there you go. You could grab this and then use those hex codes for your game. Kind of cool. Uh, Color review. This is more for like some web stuff, but it's pretty relevant in game design too. This website will actually like tell you your color and contrast, right? So if you do foreground background, it tells you if it's readable, and it tells you if it's like matches up some standard accessibility settings sort of thing, right? So pretty useful to know whether or not your game's going to be actually viewable. I brought this up previously. In Unity, there's a thing called Pro Builder. This is a really good way to start prototyping levels faster. So we saw in Hamza's presentation on Godot how the tile map works. Uh, very, very quick, very loose. ProBuilder kind of lets you do something similar in like a 3D space for Unity, right? So you can see here that you build it. It's almost like using Blender to create the low poly maps in Unity, which is kind of cool. So you got extrude and insert, all that stuff. I'm not super good with it, but it does exist that way. I like this collection of three things here because this is literally how you make a whole game using just text like voice AI. So audio to face takes audio sources and 3D animates the face to it, right? So that makes sense. AI voice generation takes text and makes voice files to it. And in world here creates AI characters, right? So uh, let's go back to here. You can basically code a character profile in this. You just type it out like you were doing like your D&D campaign where you're just like, oh, this is the NPC, this is what he likes, this is what he doesn't like, this is what he knows, right? So you write all that in there. And this uses basically a big LLM, large language model on the back end and that character's profile to create responses based off instant feedback, right? So you would talk, people could type out responses to a character. This would take it, put it into the character's perspective, give you a response. You can use the text to speech to give you a voice to it, and then you can use the voice to face modeling to give you facial animation to it. So you could go 1, 2, 3, and basically create this like really weird AI homogeneous like MMO thing. Really cool, really weird. They showed it off at GDC, and it was kind of cool. This one's fun. So most game engines have their own version of sort of netcode for it. So for example, Unity multiplayer exists. Um, multiplayer, multiplayer. Good enough. It looks spelled correctly. So yeah, so Unity has their own built-in netcode for games. I imagine most others do too. This one was one we saw at GDC as well, called planetary processing. And essentially what they've got here, let's scroll down here, is have any of you played like Maple Story? That's fine. Let's see if they have a little demo here. Okay. It's a set of netcode where you can actually implement it into your game, and you can also manage the server from like a visual UI. So I don't know if it's going to show there, right? So there's them implementing the code. And like, yeah, basically what you can do is you could hop in and it'll show you like a map of like Z's and Y's, basically. Um, and you can see, so you're moving around in that space, it'll give you like a top-down perspective on the UI of where each person is actively. And it's, yeah, so you can see sort of like node stuff that way. It's kind of cool. It's a really good way, or potentially really good way to do words. It's a potentially good way to do multiplayer if you want some very, very easy multiplayer to implement. The way they have it set up is that there's like a certain amount for free, I believe. Yeah, so like different price, it scales up at different rates. You can see there. If you have 0 players, it doesn't matter, but if you have, because it's all based off like server time, right? There you go. It's only, what's a PCM? Anyone know what that is? $1,200 a month, I suppose. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's 50,000 players though, so seems pretty unlikely, but I mean, it exists. You can obviously also do client-side hosting where each person hosts their own session. Kind of cool that way. Cheaper than self-hosting. That's fun. Oh, because they mass path servers. There it is. That's the thing that I was looking at, which is your first 10 players are free, which just sort of lets you experiment with it as a coder, right? So as long as you don't have more than 10 on, it doesn't matter how long you're on. So a very good way to like prototype your game with some friends and stuff like that. It's cool. Um, what else is relevant out there? Obviously, like if you're doing audio, I believe someone brought it up previously, but Audacity is sort of like the best free software for audio. It's very good and it works very well. Joe, you got any software that you know of?
I've done this 8-bit sort of stuff.
Oh, okay.
I think the big one that everybody seems to use right now is Reaper.
Reaper.
Yeah, but it does have a requirement of license.
This one,
And
man.
you can no Reaper.
Yeah, I typed Reaper, didn't I?
Was it?
Is it for music?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This one?
Yeah, that one.
There you go.
So they do give you, however, a 60-day, you can try it out license for it, and that license for first one's non-commercial under things like $10,000 is $60. So not completely outrageous, but and there's a lot of it for if you want to get down DSTs.
Okay.
So you can download the instruments into it, and then from there move on from there. So I've been playing around with it. I'm no expert yet.
Good way to get some little 32-bit music though?
I mean, it's a full synthesizer production package.
Yeah.
So, but if you wanted to put in like chip tunes or anything like that, there's a lot of existing ESTs
Heck yeah.
for like Nintendo, like stereo sound.
Obviously, like the big name in free software for game development is also Blender. So you've got your pixel art, you got your 3D art, you figured out how to animate both. There's the sound software, there's two of them. Let's see what else people are talking about. Game design tools. Let's see what people use it. What's up, Eric? Which one? Yeah.
It's pretty good for developing. Oh yeah. If you know about music theory, then MuseScore is pretty good for writing your own music.
Cool.
It doesn't have a lot of support for MIDI instruments, but you can write music with that and implement that into an engine that does support MIDI, like LMMS, for example.
Ah,
Yeah.
no, this looks cool. I like that it uses actual like music sheets stuff. It's cool. It's pretty. What else we got? We got. Let's see here. What are people talking about in articles here? Quest, Twine. Trying to see if any. Did that just say Google Drive? That's hilarious. Um, it's not super relevant, but one oh RPG Maker, hilarious. One thing that we for planning that we use is Milanote. I think Milanote's a pretty good tool. Ugh, light mode, light mode. Ah. You could get into fancier softwares like you could use the Atlassian suite. Is that what that's pronounced? I don't know. They make Jira and Confluence, and Jira's like the industry standard for Give me dark mode. I don't like looking at this. It hurts my eyeballs. All right, whatever. Yeah, so this is our Milanote here for the one we're working on. You can sort of see that there, and then like there's a bunch of different Milanotes that I've done here. But yeah, it uses this like card-based system. You can use it to plan your D&D campaign, but it's pretty good to like work on sort of thought process stuff there. Very good. You could do like a Gantt chart and stuff like that through it. Let's see. What's that?
Don't make me happy, Gavin.
What?
With your Gantt charts.
Gantt chart.
Gantt charts.
Gantt chart. Look at a Gantt chart, everyone. They're great.
Yeah, they are.
Very good for planning. Last rel I think if you were to use like if you're trying to find like an agile methodology, I think a Gantt chart you probably just plan out what each sprint roughly would be.
Well, you can wrap the sprints in like the tasks on that. Yeah.
Yeah. We did for our PCG class, we had a Gantt chart. Gantt charts are a great way to like they're technically a tool here. Let me show you a Gantt chart that we did for our PCG class. School. PCG was what? No, was it? Did we do it for 4980? Yeah, I think so. Uh, Wolf for Dungeon, Character Creator Dungeoneer. Let's see here. Scroll. Where's the Gantt chart? So that was our planning. If you scroll down somewhere in here,
Yeah.
where are you? Where are you? Yeah, there's a Gantt chart. Look at
Yeah.
that.
In fact, can you bring up the Diablo pitch document? Do you still have that?
Diablo pitch?
Yeah, the Diablo pitch document.
I don't think I have that on access to it, but
Just
just like
just look on Google for a second. Just look up Diablo pitch document. Yeah, that's it. So this is actually really interesting because this is an actual document when they produced Diablo. I think I've referenced this maybe earlier when I talked about the whole card game stuff.
yeah.
This is an actual pitch document that they took to Blizzard in order to get the ability to run with the game.
I like this little diagram of the town outside of the dungeon. It's cute.
Hmm. But
Hey,
there's their development timeline.
Gantt chart.
Yeah.
I don't like that it's sideways, but it's a good chart.
Well, it's sideways because at the time, you're dealing with pieces of paper, right? So
Yeah.
this would have been printed out.
This 7-page doc or 8-page document got them a game, guys. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Some good planning. Game design's there. They got the plot. They got the setting in here. Marketing. Look at they got marketing in here. Look how
That was the entire
that's
page on
epic.
on marketing I was talking about.
That's crazy.
They have little images in it too. It's not even just text.
Game
So
design is less than a page. That's crazy. That's so little. They're very concise.
it really is.
One didn't have multiplayer, did it?
It didn't, no.
That's funny.
Well, what you'll see in this too is they originally planned it to be a turn-based.
Oh, cool. So it's like a
So
grid combat system?
yeah, so it would have had a turn-based, but then what happened was is that they kept on lowering the amount of time in between turns for multiplayer. And they finally got to the point where they didn't have it at all.
That's funny.
So if we go back to,
Oh,
oh,
go
did
to
you close it? I'm sorry.
Sorry. It's right here. It's not going
I'm
anywhere.
trying to see where so there they got the dynamic random level generation. So they already are talking about that, but
They like their PCG
basically, yeah. So early procedural content generation. And as you go down, yeah, plot and setting,
gameplay.
gameplay, yeah. And so that's just laying out a lot of it is how does it look at the start.
It's cool.
And so yeah, that's look at that. It's a 1 month timeline.
Yeah. At this point, funnily enough, one of the easiest way to make one of these charts is literally just opening Canva. Canva's the easiest because that's what
Yeah.
yours is
So
made.
here, notice it's only 12 months. So it's a 1 year timeline
Yeah.
broken down by months in the Gantt chart.
Another way, if you're looking at doing some diagrams for some like presentation and planning stuff, draw.io, incredibly good software for drawing diagrams. Fine, I give up. I don't care anymore. Draw.io is good. It's a good software. Make diagrams with it. Sorry. In my drive, there's a bunch. That's how we make a bunch of our like UML object diagrams and stuff like that, which are nice. Okay, let's see what's going on here. What do you got here? Oh my lord, what is this unreasonable hard to look at thing? General game design. Okay, here we go. So this is some paper. Hey, look, 20 lessons of Magic the Gathering. Cool. Tons of GDC talks are incredibly useful.
Well, that's actually where the Diablo pitch was released, was at a GDC talk.
And it's not relevant right now, but uh, GDC, one of the things I think we're talking about tomorrow as well, and then we'll go again next year probably, knowing everyone. They like it, we like it. It was fun. Much more academic than when we went to GCC, so that was fun too. As far as things go, is it not going to show me the option? Oh, look at this. They got call for submissions here. They also do like there is something that they do in the summer. I think it's oh yeah, it's the showcase. Sorry, it's the fall. The showcase during the fall here. So that's virtual. What I was trying to find, there it is, the vault. The vault basically GDC records every single talk that goes on there, and they have for the last what? How long has GDC been around? 20 years? 1980? No, that's not correct. That can't.
He founded a journal of games design in
Okay,
1987.
let's see. GDC is 36 years.
1988. Yeah.
So maybe they haven't recorded it for all that time, but like the vault is crazy. It goes like you can search all the videos and stuff like that. Wait, did it say slides? Oh, hi, you can just look at the slides. Here, let's see Game Jam. See if we got a slide deck on Game Jams anywhere in here. I bet it lets you search it, and then when you go to click it, it says you have to buy it. Let's see. Game Summit.
No, this isn't the Wall Street Journal.
Hey, look at this. Okay, perfect. That's a video, or is that a slideshow? Hey, it's a slideshow. Look at this. Boom. So this is, like I said, you can access most of the stuff here directly here. So can I open this in a new window? No? Whatever. You can see it's all here, which is really, really cool. Did you know free users only get access to 30% of the content for
Well,
the
there you
last
go.
2
So
years?
they are charging you. There is a
Yeah,
paywall
the
somewhere.
GDC Vault, though, there's all your stuff there. One thing to note, though, is that with the Vault is that you can get it with your ticket. If you buy a full ticket, I'm pretty sure, to GDC, it comes with the Vault access for a year. And yeah, like if you're ever wanting to learn, there's a great selection of slides. So this is each year's, yeah. So bomb shelter, what is this one here? Finding your voice. Where's it called? Oh, here it is, through game jams. Cool, so that's a video. I actually went to this one.
E-
I did.
Even with how many talks that there is at GDC, if you're even at GDC, you don't get to see all of the talks. So
No, and honestly, with the way we were doing it, we had we just went for the 3 days, so we didn't get to do all of it. Yeah, so actually, we were actually at this panel in 2023. They haven't uploaded 2024s yet, it looks like, in the vault, but you can see, so like, this is actually, I believe they're Canadian-based, which is fun. Studio Imagery. I feel like they were, because I remember being irrationally like, yeah, Canada, let's go. Yeah, that's a Studio Image. There you go. Ah, I was right. They are Canadian. Quick. There you go. So yeah, no, and yeah, you can get all these like discussion points, right? So they're like, here's game jams, here's some of the fun things that happen at it.
they're Canadian, but it's Quebec City. So
Okay, they're arguably Canadian. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt
fair
here.
enough.
Yeah, so this is where that one video, the one tip that I was talking to you guys about the other day, where it's like, a lot of the times you might not actually get a lot of like code done in that first evening. And that's sort of here where they talk about it, right? So it's like, where is it? Talks about a lot of credibility, stuff like that. Just double check I didn't get a message yet. Let's see here. Here, game jams, yeah. So obviously time restraints, getting it done, pressure there. So they're a great way to do deliberate practice. So this is where they talk about like sort of where you're at, how you're planning on doing it. So a lot of the planning stuff, right? Quality. Let's see here. Just go into the planning section. Here, how to deliberately practice, right? So work a team, open mind, pace yourself. Yeah, so this is that sort of breakdown I was telling you guys about the other day, which was like a lot of brainstorming and then like doing all of your planning for the first day. Like that would include like collecting your assets and everything. Like, oh, we want these sounds, we want these art assets, we want this. Because realistically, this is going to be like a very minimum viable product, right? And then day two is that like code it all. By the end of start of day one at like 10 a.m. to midnight, from that time frame, you realistically want to have your team of 4 sitting there doing it the whole day, and you want to get a prototype done by that time. And then the third day, bring in the proper art assets, polish it off, bug fix, and then upload, right? Because usually you have like 10 to 6 the next day, because 6 is usually the cutoff for most game jams, right? So Obviously, like Matt was saying, is you don't necessarily need to plan for 6 hours. That's probably a bit overkill. You're going to plan out a full game and then pull it back probably off that way. But
So, so Gavin, when we talked about, for example, tools for especially rapid prototyping, what's your thoughts on generative AI, Mid-Journey, those types of systems?
I think they work for mocking up these concepts for now, at least. Especially for a game jam, I think it's okay. But I don't think you should put any of that physically in your game. I think the line of where your AI is allowed to be used, in my opinion, is the planning phase. And I think as soon as you start putting it into code, get the AI out of there. Um, I'm not as concerned if you like ask ChatGPT a question about how to code a specific thing in Godot, because then at that point you're functionally Googling it. But I would say that like if you're using Copilot AI for pixel art inspiration, you should probably leave that in the image board.
And I think even when we talk about this sort of stuff too, when we talk about tools, a lot of it is also what are you attempting to do? So there's a lot of tools that work really well for certain types of games that I would never use for something else. So if you're doing a three-dimensional game, yeah, those types of animations work really well, but you need a different tool set in order to work on a two-dimensional platformer or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
So it really is also not to the man with the hammer, everything looks like a nail. And so putting those types of systems together that allow you to very quickly build up something. I noticed there's also a lot of stuff now on kind of like terrain generation has become very easy with a lot of
Yeah,
tools.
I mean, even what was that 2D tree or something like that? What's it called? The tree soft?
Speed tree.
Speed tree.
Yeah. So Matthew was talking about that, and that is basically used in if there's a tree that exists within a video game, a AAA video game, it probably was a speed tree. One of the big examples of this to me is the Arkham series of games, and you would think, oh, it's set in a prison. Where would there be trees? But poison ivy.
Mm,
So all of the scenes with poison ivy and the growing vines and all that, it's actually just speed tree that does all of that generation
nice.
and creation on that. Um, so these kind of like mid-level pieces of software
Funny. Yeah, there's lots of
coming,
stuff out there for sure.
but it's not exactly free. SpeedTree is,
No,
I haven't seen what a license costs, but I have heard stories of what license
I ain't even
costs
gonna
on some
check.
of those. Yeah, it's one of those things if you have to ask, don't you can't pay.
If you have to ask, you can't afford it. Damn.
Yeah, pretty much.
Looks like they let you see the videos. Oh, got a little slideshows here. That's fun. Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have any tools that you've used that we haven't talked about? That is a very small slideshow. Well, I mean, if that's the gist of it, we can end the round table early and you have more time to work on your projects and gives you time to order food. What's up, Gabriel? Yeah. Mm. I did hear he moved to YouTube, didn't he? Yes. Massive Hero Sakura creating games. Yeah, let's do that. Let's quickly. I'm just gonna save my brain. Nope, that's the wrong button I meant to do. Unpin. I wanted to mute you. There you go. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So Master Hero's got a ton of ones here that are really good. Sick. This is fairly recent, right? Like this isn't like old. About a year. Yeah, that makes sense. And then obviously like um big ones are Game Maker's Toolkit. Incredibly good. Let's see here. Let's switch accounts. There you go. Okay. So yeah, these are kind of tools. They're learning tools. It counts. Game Maker's Toolkit. Great videos. Goes over like obviously that GMTK jam is coming up, but it talks about like difficulty curves.
Some of the older extra credits is
Yeah.
very good on this.
I mean, any extra credit videos could be pretty useful.
There's a couple of videos where I would disagree with their
The takeaway?
evaluation.
That's fair. It is a video essay. Video essays can disagree.
Yeah, the one I don't the I can get into one
Sure.
of them, but
Either way, they go over some fun things here that are cool. The other one is animation. Oh God, what was the name of it? He doesn't call it animation study, does he? There you go, video game animation study. Very, very good on animation. So how things work that way. And then another one that's also really good is New Frame Plus, I believe. New Frame Plus is what Dan from Extra Credits went off to do. So if you like animation specifically, and like that's the thing you like, he goes over a bunch of that where he talks about like a lot of like really cool animations and how they've set it up. Like for example, Link here has a ton of extra animations. The sick way that Guilty Gear and DBZ used like the anime style and stuff like that. Tons of really good stuff that way. Another one that I think is really solid is Design Doc. Design Doc is another one. Basically, all my YouTube is just these video essays on game design, which I just put on in the background.
I'm trying to remember the one guy that does all of the different weapons in video games. If you're interested in like first person
Is it
shooters,
Chad? Please don't be.
huh?
Let's see here. Video game weapons.
He goes kind of like through the whole history of the. I'll look it up while
Sure.
you're on with
What
that.
was the other one? Oh, Bracky. Bracky's really good. I think if you're honest, if you're looking for like YouTube tutorials, Bracky's is probably the best way to go because not only does he show you how it's done, he also explains what's happening. So hopefully you can take that knowledge and use it somewhere else. Right. So if you wanted to learn Godot, basically, you could watch these two videos and you can have a solid starting point, which is nice. Some really cool stuff that way. Um, yeah, I don't know. If I scroll through my subscription, it's probably just gonna give me the most nonsensical collection of things. GD Quest, that's cool. Funnily enough, uh, Godot has been doing a lot of retweets of Twitch streamers who are doing game development. So there's some stuff on Twitch that way as well, which is fun.
Ahoy,
Ahoy?
ahoy.
Ahoy. Like that?
Yeah.
Is it that one?
So he mostly does like he mostly does first person shooters, but he does a lot of breakdowns on like the history of a certain weapon inside of different video games and how it's portrayed.
Oh yeah, that's sick.
Yeah.
All right. Well, any other tools, y'all? Yes. So people have used gaming for streaming, like Godot and Unity for their stream setups. Someone actually used Unity, I believe, to create a stream integration software that basically, when a viewer hops in their stream, it creates a slime, and the more times that they come back, it creates more slimes, and the slimes are like in their slime farm. It's really cute. Um, yeah, okay, I think that's good enough. I think that's the gist of it, though. Obviously, like YouTube is an incredibly good resource for game design. Um, if you're looking for like, yeah, I mean that's the gist of it. I'd say if you're looking at more like tabletop side, Quinn's Quest goes over a lot of really good TTRPGs that way. And I mean, People Make Games is probably my favorite people in the game industry. These are their, it's a news company basically that all talks about video game news. Really, really good stuff. Uh, Also talks about the nichest things that I've ever seen in my life. Esports farming simulator. Down here is Excel Esports. Uh, a $40,000 people LARP or 4,000 people LARP in the desert. Like they do a lot of really interesting stuff that way. Uh, Somewhere in here you can see the Roblox videos. So they talked about how Roblox uses child labor for as like a core part of their actual development plans for content. What's up?
That sounds cool.
Okay. Yeah, there's tons of stuff. There's also a prototype that a studio made that had to be banned in their own studio because nobody was doing any work because they were
That
all playing their
that
own
one
little
I've heard
game.
about. The interesting thing with that game prototype that had banned by its own studio, the big thing there was that they had tokens
Yeah.
that cost they would have to pay a token in order to make a move that day, and there were so many tokens that everybody
Oh,
immediately
my
got.
mic's not working anymore.
Yeah. But what happened was people were going around the
What's
office
up?
and they were using
Oh,
these game tokens as basically bartering chips to like hey, if you go and grab me a Coke from the vending machine, I will give you a token. Things like that.
That's so silly.
Or like if you do some work for me, I'll, do this thing for you. And so what happened was is it basically became like a secondary currency within the
Yeah.
office, and that's what killed it.
I think with that though, I think we're kind of the roundtables are more just loose discussions
Yeah.
to sort of warm us up. I think I'll end it there. Order the food. We'll be back at 1 with actual lectures.